Tasman, beautiful place. How you going, brothers and the occasional sister? This is a video about how I manage all the fucked up little things about myself. I'm going to go to the top of the hill when I'll start yakking to you. Well, a mountain bike is a mighty fine life. I do what I like because I don't have a wife. Not to say that having a wife means you can't do what you want. That was probably a bit inappropriate for me to say that. Right, we'll get to the top of the hill. Now we've gone down the hill and get to the top, and I want to tell you, first of all, the very first thing that I manage. I'll start off by listing each item and how I manage it. So the first thing that is very fucked up about me is that I am a perfectionist. And you might go, oh, well, that's not a bad thing. Yes, it is. Hey, sheep. I used to pull pigs out of there, machine gully. Before I learnt to manage this idiosyncrasy, and it's not even an idiosyncrasy, it's just a, I don't know what you call it, but it's no help at all. I'd do a painting or something, and I'd look at it, and I'd go over it, and I'd ruminate, and I'd go, that's not right, and I'd almost want to destroy it, and I'd fix it, and I'd go back, and finally you look at it, and it really became to the point where I couldn't release a song, I couldn't release a painting, I couldn't release a video, I couldn't do anything. And today I release constantly substandard content, and I'm okay about it. How did I learn to manage that one? Well, one day I was working on a piece of bone carving and it broke, and I've been working on it for about 3 weeks, and it broke in a place that you could only glue it back together, but it would never be the same again. And I got my knickers in a twist. Did I get my knickers in a twist? I got so upset and I was ranting and raving and completely just got beside myself. I must have been about 30, I think. So it's 30 years ago. And it dawned upon me, one of the reasons that I make stuff, I paint and I do carvings, is to calm myself, is to get in the zone and to be at peace. What's the point in doing all that if it's going to make me worse? So I adopted a new policy. My life is never going to be perfect and my work is never going to be perfect. I'm going to learn to manage shit, but I'm never ever going to be able to make everything perfect, because you can't. And that's it. I mean, it's like when COVID came along. Oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. No, there's a virus here, we're going to live with it. We're never going to get rid of it, and it's just like a lot of things. Most conditions that you have, you're never going to fix them. That's just a harsh reality. But you can learn to manage them. So the way I managed it was by accepting that nothing I do is ever going to be perfect, so just let it go, do it, enjoy it, and then let it go. And that's what I do with every video I make, with every painting I paint, with every song I sing, with every poem I write, with every bone carving, even if it falls to bits. I go, fuck it, I enjoyed making it, it didn't quite work out how I would have liked it to be, but nothing ever does anyway in this life. I mean, my whole life hasn't turned out how I wanted my life to be. Actually, it's not a bad life. But yeah, I always wanted to have a family that stuck together. I wanted to marry the right woman and raise children. We'd be a happy family, then there'd be grandchildren, and I come from a dysfunctional family, so chances were I was gonna cock it up, and I did cock it up. But that's okay, because I cock up most things, and beating yourself up about cocking stuff up doesn't really, that's not the point, you know? So learning to love your imperfections and things that you stuff up, that's one thing. Right, let's move along to another thing that's fucked up about me, which I have learnt to manage. This is a good one. There was a time that if I was running late to go somewhere, which is often me because I'm useless at managing my time, and I'll be running late to somewhere, going to town, let's just say a doctor's appointment, and this will happen quite frequently. So I've got this doctor's appointment I've got to go to, and the traffic lights are green, and I can see them at a distance, and oh yep, and I get to them, but there's somebody parked at them that hasn't seen they are green. People are tooting their horns and they're going crazy at that person at traffic lights and tooting their horns, and finally that person's, oh yeah, waves in the mirror, sorry, instead of just fanging it, and they get going as it goes orange and you get to a red light. I used to lose it. I used to like become the most unreasonable, illogical at least, like a psychopath. I'd be ranting and raving in there and fuming, and my heart rate would go up. Now I stopped doing that probably at the age of 27. I've been working for a sales rep for a company called they were called They're a subsidiary of General Motors. They were called Frost Wholesalers, but they used to sell General Motors products, so they weren't actually General Motors, but we'd sell all AC Delco plugs and Heller and all that stuff. Anyway, point being, one day it happened to me. I was living in Sumner in Christchurch at the time, and I was running late for work, and it happened at the traffic lights. And a person was beside me. Also, it was 2 lanes, and there was a person beside me, and they were both went red, and the person beside me went through the red one, and I stopped, and I was running late for work. And as they went through the red one, a truck just went smack and took them out. And suddenly everything changed in that moment. There was carnage, there was bits of body on the road, and I'm not going to go through the graphic detail of what unfolded. I went over and assisted. I was the first one there, and I completely forgot about that I was late for work, and somebody almost lost their life that day. They certainly lost the ability to ever walk again. And I got back in my car and I was shaken, and the police came and people talked to me, and I got some counselling because it didn't look very nice. And I really learned a valuable lesson that day, is that if you're running late, so fucking what? The thing is, you get to run late again. It's better to take caution and live to see another day than to go through a red traffic light. Not that I was, but somebody did, and they were probably like me, probably fuming and getting beside themselves, and thought, fuck it, went through, and it cost them their legs, and now they can't even drive anymore. Well, maybe they can. I don't think they would have lived much longer after that accident, actually. They certainly couldn't walk again. Anyway, I learnt to manage that one, which really basically comes down to being impatient, and it's such an illogical emotion to have. It makes sense. Today, if it happens to me today, I don't even have any. What I think today is, I think, man, I'm alive. And I often think back to that person, I'm alive still, 30 years later or 33 years later. I'm alive. I get to drive my car. I get to be late to my doctor's appointment. That's an experience. G'day, doc. By the time you get the doctors, normally they make you wait another bloody half hour anyway. So it doesn't matter. Now, of course, this is only how I manage my little fucked up things, and you'll have your own little fucked up things, but one thing that we all have, that we could all manage, and I think this one would be helpful to you guys, is sleep. What do I do wrong? Like, one of my little fucked up things about sleeping is that I go to bed and I start thinking. Well, I used to, I don't do it anymore. I used to think. I used to think about stuff, or even worse than that, worry. Think about something somebody said, or something had gone wrong, or was it going to be able to pay that bill, or worry about how I was going to get this done on time. And this was something I used to do, and I think I inherited it off my grandmother, because she was a great worrier. She was the queen of worry. She'd tell me that she'd go to bed and she'd lie awake trying to remember what it was she had to worry about, just so she could worry. But I got a solution to that problem, and this solution works every time. But it involves a little bit of work. It's a bit of work. I had a dog called Chun, and we got a pig in this gully. This used to be all pine trees, and we chased it. This all pine trees through here, right over there, right around there, and right back down to the road where I come up. It went 140 pound on the dot. Anyway, when I go to bed at night, I go into another clay. I divide myself up. I go into sleep clay. Sleep clay is not allowed to think about anything. Well, actually, that's not quite true. There's one thing he's allowed to think about only, and that's breathing. That's the only thing that sleep clay is allowed to think about. He's there to sleep and do nothing else. So when you hit the pillow, say your name's Tom, you become Sleep Tom. And when you do that, you sleep. That's all you do. So that's your thing, and you program yourself. And you can put yourself into compartments of different things, but different things you like to do. You might have exercise clay, which I am right now. Actually, right now I'm vlog clay because I've stopped to vlog. But you just have these different things you put yourself into so you can focus, because focus is the key word to fixing up your fucked up little things about yourself. Good to get some of that grass growing again after that rain we had. One of the worst fucked up things that I've had in my life is bad eating, and it's taken me a lifetime to get it right. In fact, I still don't have it perfect. My answer to fixing that problem was to change my diet. I used to overeat. I still do. I still eat more than I need to. And the only way I could fix that was to change myself, and by going on a whole plant-based diet, it meant that I wasn't loading up on too much fat and too much meat and too much dairy. But I also did that because I've got heart disease, and I had no choice in the matter. You don't need to have that diet if you don't have a disease process, but if you have heart disease, you need to be on a whole plant-based diet, period. That's the only thing. And people don't realise that there's all these new fads. The keto diet, which I've been on for a long time, I was on that for 4 years, and the carnivore diet, which I sort of was, they damage your heart, man. I was on those diets even before they became trendy. They damage your heart long term. They're good short term, they're really good. If you've got a irritable bowel syndrome, or you've got an immune disorder, people do really well on them, but long term the heart doesn't do well, and that's the problem. There are some people that get by. It depends on your genetics. Some people just depends on your LP(a), how high it is, but you really have to look at your ApoB. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about diet in this, but the way that I managed my excessive eating and all the time was just by simply changing my diet. At least it meant every time that I get hungry, which is a lot of the time, I'll be putting something in my mouth. This morning I had sprouted, broccoli sprouts and beet sprouts, a couple of nuts, half an avocado, that's my fat for the morning, and the nuts, the protein, and a tiny wee thing of natto beans. Not a lot, and I'm not going to get excessively fat on that, but also it's good for my health. It's nutritionally dense food rather than what I used to eat, which would have been probably bacon and eggs this morning, what I would have had with a big bit of toast, which would just completely wreck this heart thing. So that's how I have solved that. But eating is a very complex thing, because we've all got our own personal beliefs about eating, and most of us find a bias to back up the things we like to eat rather than look at the science, which I used to do all the time, because I love meat, and I love fish, and I love dairy. Just don't do it anymore. Well, unless I'm in a situation where I'm trying to survive, but 99.9% of the time don't do it. That's how I manage my little thing of wanting to eat. Why do I want to eat all the time? I put it down to a lot of things. I think it's an emotional thing, and I think it comes from being abandoned as a child when I was 5. I know that sounds a bit airy-fairy, and you mean, nah, that's not what it is. But actually, yeah, I've had a big gap for a long time, a lot of time of just this big gap, because I had no mum to feed me, and I was in hospital for like 2.5 months and left, and no visitations or anything, because that's how it was back then. And I think that's where it came from. But I don't really know. My brother, he's not like that. He's got good eating as far as... Actually, he had bad eating. I got his diet right, but he doesn't overeat like I do. He's now got it right. Whereas my overeating, I think, was emotional. That's only a theory. It might be something else, but it's something I haven't been able to fix, but I've been able to manage, and that's it. You learn to manage it. You don't fix everything, but you learn to manage it. That's how I managed that little fucked up thing about myself. Yeah. Geez, I'm sharing a lot today. I hope you've got something to share below for us too, brothers. Right, the next one, I think we could all say we've felt it, and everybody gives it a different name. Some people call it depression, but I'm not talking about clinical. Clinical depression is something quite different. Clinical depression is when you just can't get out of bed in the morning, you physically can't get up, when you can find no joy in anything. Clinical depression can last for days. It's the most debilitating thing, and I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy, because it's destructive. I think I would rather have cancer, and I've had cancer, than have clinical depression, because with clinical depression you lose all hope, and when you lose all hope, that's when people do things like take their own lives. But there is a way to manage feeling bad, and that's what I want to talk about. Some days I wake up feeling bloody fantastic, and I don't know why. I had that there on Saturday. I was going for a hunt, and I just felt so damn good. I don't know. It was over the top feeling good. I had no reason to feel, well, maybe I did. I was thinking about my new truck. I was thinking about how I've got my life back on track to where I want it to be after working so goddamn hard for so long. But it wasn't even that. I just felt euphorically happy. And I was driving along, going to the hunt zone, and I thought, if I can feel this good for no reason, then this explains why sometimes I feel bad. And sometimes I do need to feel, I do feel bad. I really need to change gears going up here. I should have changed before I started vlogging. I'll see if I can do it. I'm too high for this hill. Anyway, how do I manage when I feel like shit? Here's a really cool thing. This is science, and it's only science that's come out the last 10, 12 years. Scientists discovered that when you exert physical exercise, like I just did then going up that hill, the muscle acts as an endocrine system and releases the molecule they call the hope molecule. I'm not talking about endorphins, that's part of it, but there's another molecule. Endorphins are a big part to play in it, because we release those also when we're under stress physically. We work hard, you go to the gym, you get that burn, you feel good afterwards. But why are you feeling good? Oh God, this brings back a memory. See this here, this little place here? We caught a pig right here, right there. Yeah, many years ago. So why do you feel good? Well, the muscles, just like say your, what's another part of your endocrine system? Well, your pancreas produces, what's your pancreas do? Insulin, and your liver does too. Your nuts produce sperm, semen, if it's an endocrine, anything that produces something. Your adrenal glands produce epinephrine and adrenaline, so you've got all these different things you produce, but your muscles produce this molecule they call the hope molecule. And when you produce that, it actually gives you the feeling of hope, and a really good feeling. Can't believe I used to hunt all this place here, now it's all like farmland with houses on it. So by exerting yourself physically really hard, you are going to feel better. So if you've got a real bad feeling and you don't know what it is, or if you're suffering depression, I think exercise is right up there with nutrition. I think it's equal, because eating bad food will always make you feel bad. You feed this, you're feeding your mind. You put something shit in it, particularly refined carbohydrates and processed food, bags of chips and anything that's processed, that comes out of a packet, it's going to end up making this bit of jelly between your ears not function to its full capacity. The opposite to that there is feeding it with good food and good thoughts and good exercise. So this hope molecule, when you're feeling like shit, it's released and it just makes you feel good and it makes you feel positive and gives you hope for the future. And that's a good thing, and that's the way I manage when I'm feeling just bad in general, bad anything. Emotionally bad, mentally bad, physically bad. Yeah, even physically bad. If I'm feeling really run down and tired, what do? Go to bed? No. I go for a walk with the dogs. Come back feeling great. Works every time a treat. Whoa, probably shouldn't have done that. Okay, yep. Stop there, boy, that was dumb. Sometimes you got to do stupid stuff too. Right, where was I? This one is not so much being fucked up. What it is, it's just basically being insecure. I don't do big crowds, or didn't used to do big crowds very good. I used to go into a big crowd. I still don't go to parties and stuff. I'm not a social guy like that. I just like to, I'm a fuddy-duddy. I like to be at home with the dogs or have a couple of mates come round, but I don't like big groups. I just don't enjoy it. I spent years doing it in Europe as an entertainer, but it just doesn't float my boat, doesn't flip my pancake. Don't like it, and consequently I don't get invited to parties very often, because every time someone does, they know I'm going to say no, which is fine by me. So what do I do when I'm in a crowd and I have this feeling of feeling inferior, or not just inferior but nervous? It comes from I don't know what, and I still get it occasionally, but actually no, I don't. I've got the memory of having it. How I've dealt with that is, whenever I don't do this anymore because I don't feel that way, but I used to, and the way I used to deal with it. Now that's interesting. Here's a thing that I've managed, the point that manages itself. So some things that you can actually manage, that you think aren't fixable, if you keep on doing it, they become right, because I don't have it. But the point being, and I'm dancing around a bit, is when I'm in a crowd of people, I look around at each person and I think to myself, there's things that I can do that they cannot do. That guy over there, he probably doesn't know how to make a kontiki raft out of a piece of flax and clatty. That person over there probably doesn't know how to make a fish hook that can catch something with their bare hands. That person over there probably can't make fire with what they've got. That person over there probably couldn't go and survive 6 or 7 days with just the clothes they're wearing. That person over there probably can't play guitar like I can play. That person there, and I say all these things, and then I reverse it. That guy there probably knows how to strip down an engine, which I can't do. I'll never fully know how to do. I can do it to a point, but he's a mechanic. He knows everything. That person over there knows exactly how the inside of a heat system works. He's an engineer on a boiler system. That person over there probably knows, and I'm just making an assumption, I'm seeing somebody with it on the side of their car, fireman, probably knows how to run everything at the fire station by himself if he had to, which I don't know. Everybody's got something that they can do that I can't do, and I've got things that not everybody can do. There's some people who can do some things I can do, but there's nobody who can do everything that I can do. It's like a combination lock, you know. I am unique in myself, and so are you. There's a whole lot of things that you can do that I can't do. I guarantee it. I know it. We're all unique in our own way, and rather than feeling like I'm not confident about who I am in this group of people, I am special. I've got a whole lot of special things. Yeah, I've got some special fucked up things too, but I manage them. So I'll sum it up, and I'm gonna stop there, but I'll say that's not the only fucked up thing about myself, but that's the main ones. And that's the way I manage them. You'll have a whole list of your own little unique little fucked up idiosyncrasies, little things about you that are different, but that makes you who you are. That makes you actually special. And the fact that you may never ever stop suffering depression, or you may never ever stop suffering anxiety, or may never ever stop ruminating about certain things, you can learn to manage them. So you need to teach them a few tricks. Learn a few tricks along the way. Life will teach you a few tricks if you go into your pain, but if you drown out all your things and your uncomfortable feelings by smoking marijuana or excessively gambling or doing anything excessively, by not facing what it is that you need to face, then they will keep on surfacing, trying to teach you a lesson how to manage them. That's what they do. Eventually they will teach you and something will happen. And if you don't learn, then something like cancer comes along, or heart disease, and that teaches you a lesson. Man, I've had some hard lessons, but I listen to each lesson when it comes along and I act on it. And that's the only difference. You have to act on it. None of us are perfect. None of us are going to get out alive, but there is a lesson in everything that happens to us. And by not listening, by burying your head and not dealing with it, then you're doing yourself a massive disservice. And that's how a lot of people die, tragically, is they don't listen. That would be a story for another day. Actually, it's not a very happy story. I just thought about someone whose advice, he was given advice and didn't took it, now he's dead. And that's the thing, is you can't teach or tell people stuff. People have to find out their own lesson. And I've stopped preaching to people these days because people either want to improve or they don't, and it's up to them. We've all got that freedom of choice. Anyway, I've got some serious biking to do. I'm cooling down. That was the Bro Check Club today. Hope you enjoyed it and hope you gained something from it. Go steady. If you know a brother who's struggling in any capacity or way, share this video with him to help him maybe, I don't know, get something from it. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Who knows? We can only try. Go steady. See ya.